Hi, Professor. The Islamic terms of peace, what catches my attention about that is that, contrary to what we see today, it portrays Islam as a peaceful religion. Unfortunately, in today's news, it's everything but peaceful. It also seems there's some connection between the pattern that I've seen in Christianity throughout history and what I see in Islam. What I mean with this is that both religions started as peaceful. Both religions within time engulf people in power, leaders of the church, leaders of the government, kingdoms, kings, and also within time, both religions kind of got twisted and became excuses for the conquest of other people in the name of a better religion or the better ways of living. For example, kind of connected to this is Pope Urban II's sermon for the Crusades. That essentially forgave any acts of violence on behalf of the Crusaders because God wills it. I mean, you were forgiven because God will forgive you for doing His work, even though you're going to go and attack and destroy cities. It pretty much given an open letter of doing whatever they want in the name of God, and that was Christianity right there, and that's how it seems. Other uh, example of how this thing got twisted within time. It's not connected but related. The travels of the Chinese envoy saw Ruga around the Arabian Peninsula in the Spanish Peninsula. I found those interesting. It seems it just kind of reiterates how full of culture uh, the Islamic culture it was, how rich it was, how important it was for what we know the world today as what it is. How much they have to do with it. The city of Toledo in how it describes it. The question I have for you, I'm not sure if it makes sense, is um, for what I understand, around the time where the Conquista ended, there were still a lot of Muslims in the Iberian Peninsula. I know that Columbus, and the Spaniards were trying to conquer the Americas. Do you know, or how many of this Moorish people actually came to inhabit the Americas? How much more, technically asking, how much Moorish blood is there really in the Hispanic culture? Um, I guess I'll talk to you more about that, but that's one question I had. See if you knew anything about that, or if you any, if you know exactly what I'm asking. Hopefully, it makes sense. Um, as far as the commendam, the ordinance of the guild, the merchant partnership, and the merchant ruler relationships, that seems to be all connected with commerce. It seems that at the time, commerce became a very important part of the world order, at least the known world at that time. And the way I see it, there were certain rules that need to be made and set in motion. If you want to be frank with you, I think these rules were technically designed to make sure some people have access to this wealth of trade, and some others were left out. Essentially, in the case of the guild, it was like unions, who gets to do it, and who doesn't get to do it. In the case of merchant-ruler relationships, same basic principle. Certain merchants in certain areas were protected, while others that were not in the circle were definitely not protected, I'm pretty sure. And just the commander, same thing, allocating the level of risk of investment and who gets to do it. It seems at the end of the day, a lot of the wars that came on Europe and the world have a lot to do with this profit of commerce and trade going around the world at the time. Um, Interesting stuff. Kind of what catches my eye is how much of it seems to be connected or what's going on today in commerce. If a lot of the wars we see nowadays have connection because we're trying to make sure we have certain uh, access to certain important, where's my head at, products like oil and iron and stuff like that. How many of the countries around the world, our country included, are going to war to do this? And all this concept of commerce and how it connects to the rulers and the governments of the world, I find it very interesting, to be frank. Let's see. The Fourth Crusade, it caught my attention for the simple fact that it blows my mind that here we are, a crusader religious people that, even though wrong, were supposed to have attacked or retake the Holy Land, and they end up killing fellow Christians. It's crazy, to be honest, how this came about. Actually, I have time, I'm gonna see if I can read a little bit more about it because it just kind of blows my mind. How can this all get gotten twisted that way? Um, don't know exactly. I understand they needed to get the ships, and they didn't have the money to depart, and that's how they agreed. But in what, I guess, what were they thinking? That's nuts. Uh, let's see. And then as far as the Chronicles of Jaime of Aragon, that's another example how religion and certain kings have very open minds as far as what to do. But unfortunately, with time, as in case of Jaime the First of Aragon, his goodwill towards Islam and Muslims and the Moorish in his kingdom, uh, it kind of eroded with time, and they started getting persecuted. And how sad it is that it seems that there's good visionary leaders in different times, as Jaime was, and unfortunately, the drive for humans to separate themselves and find scapegoats in different religions and different ethnicities seems to be a constant pattern in history. I mean, over and over, um, as we saw in, I think it was Gunther's of Paris recollection of how the Jewish got killed by the Crusaders. It's just sad. It's sad that people, in kind of retrospect, it's sad to see how consistent in history we see religion as an excuse for war. And a lot of the readings that I've seen this week seems to connect that religion, both Islam, Judaism, Christian, seem to get twisted in turn and used and abused by people in power to honestly give an open green light for people to destroy, conquer, and loot others in the name of a greater good. Um, I guess in the readings for the week, I saw the notion of democracy and the notion that democracy allow us to go into different countries and impose it because that's what's best for other people. It's kind of the same basic principle. It seems a lot of the wars here got started because people thought that they could go and conquer in the name of God because that was going to be better for the people that are going to be conquered. In reality, I think that's not the case. Thanks, Professor. Hopefully, it makes sense, and I guess we'll keep talking.